Tonight on Joy News Prime, National Security Minister Albert Kandapa says he's unable to disclose full cost details of presidential travels due to national security considerations. But Northern MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa disagrees. Member of Finance Committee John Jinapo says the chairman of the committee has pulled brakes on the E-levy.
We're expected to consider the E-levy and to determine the way forward. The chairman has just announced that we are unable to take the E-levy today.
We have details for you on Joy News Prime. Plus, police confirm old woman killed in Nalerigu was a former inmate of the Gambaga witch camp.
Because Achiri has ever come here accused. So if she came here accused and she did not go back to the community, what prevented her from going back to the community?
And in business,
Population and Housing Census reveals industrial sector employs lowest share of total workforce in the country.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim, and Joy News Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kukumlimle. We're on Go TV channel 144, DSTV channel 421. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. It has emerged that the elderly woman who was killed recently in Nalerigu was a former inmate of the Gambaga witch camp in the northeast region. According to camp authorities, the woman had been brought to the camp 2 years ago from Janga in the West Mamprose municipality following a witchcraft allegation against her. The authorities say she was, however, taken away by her relatives who claimed to have secured a safe haven for her at Nalerigu, where she stayed until she was allegedly murdered 2 weeks ago. Following the confirmation by the police that they have initiated a probe into the matter, authorities and inmates of the camp have held a special prayer session Friday, calling on the government to intervene to ensure the perpetrators are arrested and prosecuted. Correspondent Elias Tanko has more.
Today, here at the Gambaga witch camp, there is absolute sadness and mourning. The inmates are observing a minute of silence in memory of a colleague who has been murdered in cold blood by a violent mob in the regional capital, Nalerigu. This special prayer was also observed to show their respect for a former inmate, at the same time a moment of reflection on the fragility of their existence. Some of the women were so emotional that they wept bitterly throughout this event. The camp coordinator, Samson Lar, who led this special prayer session, explained why the woman exhibited such an enormous magnitude of hurtful emotions.
When she came here, 2018, 2019, that she came, that one child was sick and died. And we could see the pain in the child's death of the people because they had accused her, and she said she was also not aware. But when she came here, I don't know what actually happened, but Mbagambaran had to hand her over to us and told us that there was pain in the people. So we needed to take some. We did that. But they still came back and said, well, they wanted her in Nalerigu. That's the family. And you could not protest. So because they passed through the chief and we had the information. So I asked, and the chief said, well, if they want their own, we cannot say no, because we thought we were going to help them to keep her. And they took Achiri. She has been there for almost 1 year. You see, and now for us to hear that she was killed, so I came and told the camp, and as you can see, we are all sad. It means that they can do the same to all of us here, and that is not fair.
The body of Mma Asita Achiri was discovered 2 weeks ago in the bushes near the town cemetery with a deep cut at her forehead and blood stains, as well as marks of assault all over her body. Reports from residents were that the woman was suspected to have been killed by a mob from the community of Janga, where she fled 2 years ago after a witchcraft allegation against her. The police investigating the incident, however, are yet to confirm this report, despite confirming the suspect foul play. Samson Larry, who confirmed Achiri was indeed a former inmate of the camp, said he believes strongly the woman was murdered by her accusers.
Because Achiri has ever come here accused. So if she came here accused and she did not go back to the community. What prevented her from going back to the community, if not the witchcraft? And I'm sure those same people followed up to kill her. That is why I'm calling for more investigation to get those people. I mean, they should follow the family and find out. I don't think nobody will know about her killing. Someone should know about something. We are sad because it's very dangerous for everyone.
The inmates, who were saddened and filled with fears for their own lives, also called for the arrest and prosecution of the perpetrators. Asita Achire was from Simleboma. She was here, but her children took her away to Nalergu. 2 weeks ago, we heard she went to the farm and was killed by some people who trailed her. We are appealing to the government to protect us. They should investigate the cause of her death. Since we heard about the killing of Achire, we haven't been happy because we know we could be in her position. We could be killed in similar manner. We are still saddened till date. Elias Sutanko reporting.
There's no more E-levy. That's according to a member of the Finance Committee, John Jinapo, who says the chairman of the committee, Kweku Kwate, announced to members they have pulled the brakes on the E-levy as scheduled. Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, last night referred the controversial bill to the Finance Committee for further deliberations and input following public agitations by a section of the populace who believe the bill in its current form will impose hardships on the ordinary Ghanaian. Speaking to Joy News, the Yape Kosogo MP observed the committee chair did not give reasons as to why they are unable to proceed with the bill. He spoke to my colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
We're expected to consider the E-levy and to determine the way forward. The chairman has just announced that we are unable to take the E-levy today. What was the reason? He did not adduce reasons. We were there, we were waiting for the officials of the Ministry of Finance. The minority side was fully represented, and we're ready to do justice with the bill. Like I told you, we are opposed to that E-levy, and so that would have reflected at the committee meeting. But unfortunately, the chairman indicated that we're not going to take it. And so officials of the ministry couldn't even attend to the meeting, let alone be interrogated on the E-levy. Parliament is expected, based on our calendar, to rise today.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I mean, so if the E-levy wasn't introduced at the committee, what then happened?
It means that there's no E-levy as far as we speak, because the first reading doesn't bring the bill into force. We need to do a consideration. We need to go through the second reading. We need to go through the third reading. We need to bring all our issues. Those of us opposed to it will canvass against it. And so, as it stands, as far as we are concerned, there's nothing to consider. We are ready to go and deal with it. But if it's not before us, there's nothing we can do.
So the appropriation bill will be passed without the E-levy. Is that the clarity I'm getting from you?
I don't know, but I can tell you that we haven't considered the E-levy.
My colleague Parker-Wilson joins us for more. Parker, have you managed to get a reaction from the chairman of the Finance Committee on this?
Aisha, we haven't been able to get a reaction from the chairman of the Finance Committee. But I can say that some of the NPP MPs that I've spoken to themselves have admitted that they have picked up information that the electronic transfer or the Momo tax or the E-levy has been, in a way, withdrawn for now for further engagement. And when that is done, they can now proceed on the way forward on how they can reintroduce the bill or the levy back to the House for its consideration. So we do understand that what is going to happen is about more consultation and engagement with the minority, the civil society organizations, and the individuals who have raised critical concern over the introduction of the E-levy.
Now, Parker, we know the parliamentarians are supposed to be winding up and take a break from today. What other business have they been conducting in the House?
So they are still adopting and approving the budget estimate for the various sectors. Just a while ago, the budget estimate for the Electoral Commission was approved, but then there were concerns about the injustice that has been committed to the people of Santokofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and the others. And so the Speaker has been clear that the Electoral Commission should find ways and means of putting together a CI so that there could be a creation of a constituency for the one district. And you know that the Speaker himself said that it is a sin that you have a district without a constituency. And so for him, it will be very important that Parliament begins to look at how they can work together with the Electoral Commission to create a new constituency. But then there's been also another issue about the minority raising concerns about some monies that they claim were unaccounted for by the majority caucus of the House. And the majority also has been responding to it. In fact, there are subsidies of the interest rate and the ranking on the Trade and Industry Committee, Amoko Fiwa, and then, of course, the Deputy Minister responsible for Trade and Industry, Michael Ochebesi, has also denied the claim. In fact, according to Michael Ochebesi, the document was submitted to the committee last night where they detailed for every one district, one factory, the monies that were given to them as interest, subsidy interest. And so it is never true that they could not account for the missing money. And Amoko Fiwa has been making the point that over 200 million Ghana cedis were unaccounted for. So, Honorable, you say over 200 million Ghana cedis were unaccounted for. Is that what it is?
Yes. What we are saying is that 269 million is what is supposed to have been used as loan subsidies for this one district, one factory, to basically de-risk and get the banks to give them these loans at lower interest rate. Now, this was what has been reported in this budget. And the word was very important. It says that 269 million has been disbursed. And so we demanded to know the names of the companies and how much loans they've collected from each of these banks that has been identified. We have received the report. What we note in the report is that 62 million is what has so far been established on the report we have received from the Ministry of Trade as having been given to these companies.
The one-to-one beneficiary.
So it means that about 207 million is not part of the report we have.
So Michael Ochebesi, the Deputy Trader.
Now, we have said...
He says that is not true. I mean, last night they provided you with a document.
Listen.
And then there's no money.
The documents are here. We are not accusing anybody at all. Okay. What we are saying is that if this 207 million...
All right, I think we lost Parker there, who was speaking with Emmanuel Kofi-Boa. But here is the Trade and Industry Ministry, which is dismissing that claim over 200 million Ghana cedis allocated for interest subsidies for one district, one factory beneficiaries, which has been left unaccounted for. This comes after the ranking member on the Trade and Industry Committee, Emmanuel Kofi-Boa, alleged that out of the 269 million Ghana cedis disbursed as interest loans for 1D1F beneficiaries, only 62 million cedis had been accounted for, leaving a shortfall of about 200 million. The Lembele MP observed that despite queries to the ministry, the minister could not provide answers to their nagging questions. He's been speaking to the media.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the ministry was only able to account out of the 269 million of the loan subsidy that has been given to the banks. The ministry was only able to account for 62,281,484.29 per West Ghana City. What it means is that a total amount of 207,407,899 Ghana City has not been accounted for. In other words, that amount, as far as we are concerned, is missing. And it's important that the press should take interest in this matter. the people of Ghana must take interest, and the minister at the helm of affairs, the Honorable Alan Tramate, must come clean with the people of Ghana to explain where the amount of 207 million that is intended to basically de-risk these loans to the one district, one factory is. Because as we are speaking, this is a document that we've been given by the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Unfortunately, the ministry has been only able to account for 62 million. And I think it's important that this matter be addressed.
But in a sharp rebuttal, the Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, Michael Otribefi, accused the minority of mischief and peddling falsehood. In the view of the Deputy Minister, they have made available documents detailing the use of the said funds. Speaking to the media, he insisted that all monies earmarked for the subsidy interest loan was accounted for.
When we attended the committee meeting, they requested of us to submit a list of all the item by item list of all the subsidies that we paid on behalf of government. I mean, to these companies, the beneficiary. That we have the documentation. We even presented it when we met them last 3 days. We presented a document, and they asked us to submit it officially. I mean, we should submit it officially, and we did that. I don't know where they are getting those numbers from. As a matter of fact, they are the only people saying that they can only tell us what they are telling us. They claim they received the document this morning. I submitted a document to them yesterday, the ranking member, yesterday in the evening. So why are they saying this? Clearly, you could see that their interest is just to play mischief. And there's nothing. There's no money missing. These are facts that can be checked. You know, this 1D, 1F company, those that are in operation, we have 106 companies operating as 1D, 1F companies now in the country, and everybody can check, and you can find or see them operating. That we don't have anything to hide as a government. We don't have anything to hide. Everything is so clear and open for people to know what is happening or what we do at the ministry.
Let's stay in Parliament because the minority says the misappropriation of funds earmarked for the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic lends credence to its calls for a comprehensive probe into the COVID-19 expenditure. Contributing to the budget estimates for the Health Ministry, Ranking Member Kwabena Mensah Kando alleged government spent a colossal amount of 107 million Ghana cedis for the purchase of nose masks, 254 million Ghana cedis for the purchase of hand sanitizers, and 197 million cedis for the purchase of tissues. According to the Joaboso MP, the Health Minister, Kwekwajima Meno, should be summoned to the House over his inability to justify the use of the monies.
Mr. Speaker, upon critical look at the COVID expenditure, I was left with no option than to agree with the people who are calling for a bipartisan probe into the COVID expenditure. Mr. Speaker, we realize that if you check the 2022 budget, about 573.41 million Ghana cedis has been allocated as seed money for recapitalization of Development Bank. The Speaker, COVID money, when we are going around looking for money to combat COVID, the Speaker, we are using COVID money for recapitalization of banks. The Speaker, I'm struggling to see the correlation between the establishment of the bank against COVID-19 pandemic. The Speaker, again, we looked at the expenditure of about 857.6 million, and some of the items are very, very interesting. Mr. Speaker, I will share a few with this House. The Speaker, we realize that about 107 million Ghana cedis was used to purchase nose mask. 107 million. Mr. Speaker, Again, we also realize that about 254 million, and I repeat, 254 million Ghana cedis was also used in purchasing hand sanitizers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the most interesting one, about 187 million was also used in purchasing tissue. 187 million. These are shocking revelations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, the interesting one. When the Ghana Health Service was educating people for, restriction of movement and what have you, they had spent about 32 million Ghana cedis on conferences and meetings. Mr. Speaker, this is shocking. So, Mr. Speaker, I know that you agree with me that there should be a proper probe into this matter for us to come to a logical conclusion. Mr. Speaker, again, it must also be put on record that as of the time the agencies were appearing before the committee, we were informed that they had taken delivery of about 13 million doses of vaccines. And out of the 13 million doses of vaccines, what we have procured, what we have bought, what we have used our money for is around 2.7 million doses, which means that about 10 million doses have been given to us free of charge. Mr. Speaker, the interesting aspect is that we were told that we had paid about $147 million to an organization to deliver vaccine to us, and out of the money we were expecting 16.9 million doses, and only 2.7 million doses have been delivered. Which means that, Mr. Speaker, we have about 12 to 13 million doses of vaccines to receive.
And still in Parliament, National Security Minister Albert Kandapah says he is unable to disclose cost details of presidential travels due to national security considerations. The National Security Minister was responding to questions from the North Tongue MP, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. Earlier this year, the North Tongue MP directed questions on presidential travels to the Minister for Finance, but he said the National Security Minister was better placed to answer those questions.
Speaker, on the cost of His Excellency the ex-president's air travels, to the extent that such costs were borne or covered by operational funds of the national security, they are clothed with rules of confidentiality and state secrecy. It is not the general practice in the intelligence community everywhere to make the suggested disclosures public. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And we're still live on Joy News Prime. North Tongue MP is the one who filed that question. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, he disagrees with the National Security Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my first supplementary question relates to the assertion by the Honourable Minister that the general practice in the intelligence community is not to disclose the cost of presidential travels. But I will contend that that is not the case. I hold in my hands, Mr. Speaker, a report from the Congressional Research Office dated May 17, 2012, which is a report produced quite regularly by the U.S. Congress. And it details, Mr. Speaker, the cost of the presidential travels of the United States President. It's titled Presidential Travel Policy and Cost by L. Elaine Houchin, a specialist at the American National Government, dated May 17, 2012. And in this report, Mr. Speaker, we are told that it costs $206,000 United States dollars per hour for presidential travels in the United States of America. I also have another report here from the House of Commons, which also details the cost per hour of the UK royal family, which is about £4,800. So, Mr. Speaker, how does the Honourable Minister reconcile? In other jurisdictions, they have moved to greater transparency, and these matters are known by members of the House of Commons or members of Congress and citizens generally. So why is it that we are departing from this practice and the Honourable Minister says that it cannot be disclosed? Can the Honourable Minister reconcile this?
And so to come and join News Prime, 2021 population and housing reveals industrial sector employs lower share of total workforce. There's more in business shortly.
It's time for business. I'm Charles Ayete. The 2021 population and housing census has revealed that the industrial sector employs the lowest share of the total workforce of the population in Ghana. The report put together by the Ghana Statistical Service also shows that the agri sector employed the 33% of the total workforce of the population, while the services sector employs 53%. We have more in this report.
A report put together by the Ghana Statistical Service from the 2021 Population and Housing Census has shown that industry employs the lowest economically active population. Data from the census also disclosed that though the agri sector is the second highest employer, it is the least contributing sector to gross domestic product. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobneni.
We step back and look at the second quarter of our gross domestic product in terms of outputs. And what we see is the industrial sector is contributing 29%, keeping in mind that it's only 14% of persons who are employed can be found in the industrial sector. In contrast with 53% of the population in the services sector, in terms of output, they are giving us 50%. What should really be on the table for conversation is the low returns that is coming from the agriculture sector. 33 persons are employed 15 years and older in the agriculture sector, and the returns that we are getting in terms of output from the agriculture sector is 21%.
The report pegged the current unemployment rate at 13.5%, which translates into about 1.5 million persons without jobs. According to the government statistician, 65.8% of the labor force are not searching for a job, and this is due to the lack of faith in government.
The headline story around unemployed is the number of people who are unemployed. 1,551,118 persons in Ghana, 15 years and older, are unemployed. We are presenting the disaggregation of unemployed persons. And our interest here are first-time job seekers and those who are available but not seeking for work. Indeed, some of these people have given up on the economy, and this is where we need to rethink interventions. So here we are talking about in excess of 700,000. That is, if you sum the male-females, 296,000 and 409,000, you get about 706,000 persons who are available but are not seeking for work. And in terms of first-time job seekers, we are talking about close to 500,000. That is summing 241,000 and 245,000, close to 500,000 persons who are first-time job seekers.
A report with focus on economic activity revealed that the current labor force is about 11.5 million, with about 9 million employed and 1.5 million unemployed. 500,000 out of the unemployed are persons who are 15 years plus and are first-time job seekers.
Now, the Deputy Director of Administration at the Ghana Tourism Authority, Ajene Boateng, has indicated that COVID-19 has affected the tourism sector more than any other sector in Ghana's economy. He says about 1.3 million people visited Ghana in 2019 during the year of return, but the figure has reduced by 35,000 people since the advent of COVID-19.
The Deputy Director Administration said this at the capacity building workshop held for people in the tourism industry in Tamale. Mr. Watson said because of COVID-19, most industry players are unable to build the capacity of their staff, therefore the intervention.
2019, we have people coming to Ghana. When we were celebrating that thing in 2019, the year of return festival, we had about 1.3 million people visiting Ghana. But when the COVID-19 came, the arrivals reduced up to 85,000 people coming to Ghana. So you see the difference. So the COVID-19 has affected the tourism sector more than any other sector in the economy. Because tourism has to do with people. If people are not coming, people will not go to the hotels. If people don't go to the hotels, they will not get the money. So we are doing this to revitalize the tourism sector, to support the sector, to support the plants, to support the tourism operators, and to alleviate the effect of COVID-19 on people.
Some participants said the training has come handy.
When such a thing comes up, it gives you hope. It makes you feel that you have not been left aside. Though it's one day, it's better than nothing. I'm satisfied with the initiative, but we need more, especially in northern Ghana, where we are not a targeted region in terms of tourism per se. We are mostly a spillover side.
And that'll be it for business. We have sports coming up. Do stay with us.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oriku Wampofo. Local Organizing Committee Chairman of the 2023 African Games, Dr. Kweku Ofosu-Asare, has revealed his team is proposing Games Fund to help raise financial support to organize the multi-sport event. According to him, such a move will complement the efforts of government to successfully host the Games.
You will agree with me that in the current challenging world, government alone cannot be funding and providing support for the Games. So we are proposing that we create what we term or what we call the Games Fund. And the Games Fund will give every Ghanaian individual and corporate bodies the opportunity to contribute to the fund to complement the efforts of government. This is what I'm proposing, and we're hoping that if we are able to do that, we'll have to work out all the nitty-gritties. And let's say if every Ghanaian is putting in one CD at all, then every month we can generate about $30 million cedis. If we consider our brothers and sisters in London or in UK, about 1 million of us are there, of our colleagues are there, or compatriots are there, and if they should also give us £1 every month we can generate about £1 million if you go to the US. So this is something, an idea that we'll be fine-tuning and we'll be coming out with so that our colleagues, our compatriots, and the corporate bodies can assist in funding the Games. Now, we also intend to undertake regional tour to sensitize every Ghanaian to bring on board, to let them feel that the Games are not only taking place in Accra, but they will want all of them to feel part of the Games. So we'll be touring the regions and we'll be making sure that we carry everybody along.
To some more stories while we focus on the Ghana Premier League, and before we take a look at the table, let's remind you of the fixtures for Week 9 this weekend, as Heart of Oak would look to build on that victory against Elmina Sharks this weekend. They face Accra Lions, and then 11 Wonders play Bibiani Gold Stars. Ashanti Gold at home against Accra Great Olympics. Askin Faisal and Dreams FC, both high-flying stars so far, would clash in the league. Real Tamale United host Elmina Sharks as Asante Kotoko look to get back to winning ways when they play Legon Cities away. Brekum Chelsea also travel to face Adriana Stars as Wafa, who've been struggling this season, are at home against Mediama. The last fixture of the day sees Karela play against Bechem United. Before we go, let's remind ourselves of the standings of the Ghana Premier League. And in terms of the top of the table, this is how the top 6 looks like. Aduana Stars, they've won their last 5 games, and as a result, share the top spot with Ken Faisal, who've also had a brilliant start to the season. Asante Kotoko surrendered their lead at the top, but still have a game in hand against Heart of Oak. Dreams FC, Bechem United, and Great Olympics complete the top 6. In the bottom half, newly promoted Accra Lions still find themselves in a bit of trouble in 13th, as Maxwell Kunedi's Legon Cities also linger right above the relegation zone. Just 1 point. Heart of Oak, despite winning that game, still find themselves in the relegation zone, but they have 3 games in hand and could turn things around. Rafa sits bottom of the Ghana Premier League table. That's how we wrap up the first part of the sports segment here. We're back with the second part much later on Joy News Prime. My name is Ori Kwampofo.
Time now for showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest. Hello, lady in black.
Hello. Hello. Hi, how are you?
I'm
Aisha.
good. Have you learned how to do the flamenco dance?
No, I haven't. I'm actually learning how to speak Spanish. Si, tierra, prendes, comprendo. But you know the flamenco dance, the very expensive dance.
Okay.
In Spanish, like a very expensive dance. That's you know, an explanation given to it.
Okay.
And they held that at the National Theatre yesterday.
Okay.
My colleague Ibrahim Bembaka was there, and he came through with this report.
It's one of the oldest Spanish traditional theatre dance, and last night at the National Theatre under the auspices of the Spanish Embassy, it was staged here in Ghana for the Ghanaian audience. The Spanish ambassador to Ghana, Javier Guterres, was elated to see the Spanish tradition on a Ghanaian stage.
I'm very excited. It went beyond our expectations. First, we were very honored and humbled that His Excellency, the Vice President of Ghana, the Second Lady, the Minister of Justice, and other authorities, like the Mayor of Accra, attended the event.
Speaking to the lead dancer, Sarah, she was amazed with the reception from the auditorium.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it because at the first time it was some everybody has with us. Then we want to give more. It was like I give you everything and you give me the yes. It has been great.
How about the patrons? How did they see the flamenco show?
It was lovely. Very lovely. I mean, I wouldn't expect that to see it in Accra, you know?
Yeah, at the dance, the leg workout, everything about the show, I really enjoyed myself.
It was new for me. This is my first flamenco show I ever see.
I had the chance to see flamenco in the south of Spain. That is the first time I see it in Ghana and blend it like this with the Ghanaian dancer and the Ghanaian atmosphere. It was very, very nice.
You can tell that there is an African influence in flamenco. There's an Islamic influence there in the singing. So flamenco is a very, very, very nice and powerful art.
Beautiful show there.
You can't be on your feet. You would have done.
They should have given us space to do the
okay,
dance.
I know you're good at that.
What's or which Ghanaian dance is your favorite?
There are many. You just put me on the spot.
Okay.
But there are many, and I love.
Can you dance Agbaja?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
The ever Agbaja.
Yeah, and Bobo.
Is it not like
that's
this?
That's Agbaja. Yeah.
And
that's
then
Agbaja.
Bobo.
No. That's
How did they do Bobo?
Aisha, I think what we should do this Christmas, before you get a present from the Joy News team, we will ask you to
do a Ghanaian
dance or name it or something.
Yeah.
We should try that.
Which one can you do?
But I asked you about that.
Do Agbaja, let's see.
Okay,
fine. It's okay.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about some of the trending stories or the stories that made
big stories
headlines this week. I decided to bring you, our lovely viewers, all the trending stories or the stories that made headlines this week. So here's a wrap of it.
A four-man delegation comprising of George Bosompim, Cosby Binkpi, Ken Fiati, led by George Quay, presented a petition to the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture, Honorable Mark Okwekumante, to disregard the name Black Star Film Festival as the new name for the Ghana movie industry.
This Black Star film that has been taken, it's already something that exists in America, Philadelphia. And it has a Black Star Film Festival going with it. The NFA boss has their own Black Star International Film Festival. And indeed, we have all tested today. We went to the Registrar General Department and tried to register Black Star films. And the message there was that Black Star films. And they said you can't register Black Star films because somebody has already registered Black Star International Film Festival. They are too close. You can't. So we figured that based on some of these things, we should petition your office.
So far everything is going well. Promo is going well, patronage is going well, so I'm just looking forward to see all my fans out there, all my lovers, all well-wishers, everybody that's been part of the movement from day one, come out there and celebrate me at 40. So I turned 40 on 22nd, and then the first show at as a 40-year-old would be on 24th. So come experience me and the new Samini.
I believe all the processes we went through, from wherever to wherever, came out, with strong discipline. Because right now I feel maybe I might be doing something that I feel is right, but the system doesn't like. So I need to discipline myself and, structure myself to the law. And, we all abide by it and just move.
All right, so
trending stories
that's your showbiz for this evening. Hopefully I'll come back refreshed next week for more entertainment stories. Aisha.
We'll be waiting and we can't wait for next week. But before you go, just do one of the Agbaja dance for me. I love it. Is that the only song you know how to sing?
I don't know. The rest. I have to.
Anyway, thank you so much for bringing us Showbiz. And that'll be it for Showbiz. Welcome back to the rest of our stories. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says plans are far advanced to equip the military to deal with posing threats to the peace and security of the country. He revealed that the northern frontiers of the country are seriously threatened and therefore government has resolved to set up 15 forward operating bases in the north and equip the military to deliver on its mandate. He was speaking at the Ghana Military Academy graduation parade for Short Service Commission and Special Duties, Course 59.
Parts of our sub-region are engulfed by terrorism and embroiled in various forms of deprivation, unrest, and violence. Ghana's northern frontiers are seriously threatened, calling for a comprehensive approach to state security. Plans are far advanced for the construction and equipment of 15 forward operating bases across our northern frontiers for the Ghana Armed Forces. These forward operating bases include FOB Dollar Power, FOB Hamile, FOB Tumu, Navrongo, Boku, Nalergu, Bunkurugu, Saboba, Bimbila, Damango, Bole, Jirapa. The forward logistics base also at Wa. Forward logistics base Bolgatanga and main logistics base will also be based at Tamale. In the same vein, the government intends to equip the Ghana Navy with offshore patrol vessels and fast patrol boats to counter piracy and other maritime threats and protect our exclusive economic zone. Plans are also in place to equip the Air Force with assorted aircraft comprising Casa C-2A5 maritime patrol aircrafts, the Mi-171 SH military airlift helicopters, VIP transport helicopters, and Mi-35 gunship. All these investments are to ensure that the Ghana Armed Forces are well equipped and motivated to deliver on its mandates of safeguarding the peace, integrity, and security of the nation, and in maintaining Ghana's contribution to international peace and security.
Dr. Bawumia says the government has commenced the strategic expansion and modernization of the Ghana Armed Forces in line with threat analysis of the state.
The government has commenced the strategic expansion and modernization of the Ghana Armed Forces in line with the threat analysis and matching these with the acquisition of the requisite equipment, logistics, infrastructure development, and increase in manpower. The expansion has already seen the creation and establishment of the Army Special Operations Brigade, Armored Brigade, and 2 mechanized battalions. The Bundasi and the Boya training camps have been improved with the construction of new accommodation and training infrastructure to enhance training and learning. Additionally, the government is constructing 832 units of accommodation for the Ghana Armed Forces, which are currently at various levels of completion in all garrisons.
He quit his job as a policeman because of his fear of guns, but was killed by a gun in the Ablikuma Central constituency on Election Day, December 7, 2020. That is the story of 30-year-old Ibrahim Abbas, one of the people who died during the post-electoral violence last year. At a vigil to honor the memory of the 5 persons who died, the NDC served notice the party will ensure persons responsible for the killing face the full rigors of the law if it is elected in power in 2024. Mark Solagbagba has the rest of the story.
Scores of NDC party supporters gathered very close to the town council park, holding candles to mourn the persons they describe as martyrs of Ghana's democracy. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Peter Boamo Tokuno, led the crowd to sing revolutionary songs.
Continue unabated. Some of these souls
Sister of one of the persons killed, Raina to Abbas, crying as she read a speech on behalf of her family. She says the soldier who killed her brother is still a free man. She wants President Akufo-Addo to intervene and ensure he is prosecuted.
He attended Ebenezer Secondary School, where he studied science and excelled. In the year 2012, he enrolled into the police training school and completed to work for the Ghana Police Service. Later, he quit his job due to phobia of guns. He later worked as a security personnel for Rana Motors. Though we were not happy about his decision to quit, we respected his decision. He got married to a beautiful wife named Hawao on 8th November, but met his untimely death on 16th December 2020 after being shot at the Collation Center on 8th December. I'm calling on His Excellency, the President, and the IGP. I know he is doing his best, but his best wouldn't be enough if he can't serve justice to these innocent souls. Some of these souls are breadwinners of their families. Mr. IGP, please bring the perpetrators to book. The military guy who shot my brother is still roaming about freely. Please give us justice.
On display here are the vigil ground pictures of some of the people who died in that post-electoral violence. Prominently featured a 30-year-old Ibrahim Abbas, who comes from this constituency, the Ablekuma Central constituency. Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Peter Boama Otokuno, says they consider these persons as martyrs of Ghana's democracy. And indeed, he says the NDC will institute a day that they would use to commemorate their passing.
We believe that there shouldn't be any single drop of blood after these comrades of us lost their lives in the elections. And we are hoping that our democracy, when it becomes better, it would be an insignia for the sacrifices that they made. So we have decided that we'll institute a day every year to celebrate these martyrs who sacrificed their lives for us to, as it were, keep our democracy going. And we believe that if we are able to celebrate them very well, it will, one, not only motivate our party people to continue to stand firm, to resist the oppressor, as our national anthem enjoins us to do, but also to stand firm and make sure that we hold the oppressor accountable, we hold government accountable, and we hold people who seek political leadership accountable.
Yeah, he also talked about putting up monuments in memory of the people who died. Will that happen?
Yes, certainly. Plans are even far advanced in getting these monuments underway, and I am very optimistic that a year by this time we may most likely, inaugurate or unveil the monuments for these gentlemen, at our party office. We are looking at our party office, but we will look at other convenient locations as well, so that as a nation we can celebrate these heroes who have laid down their lives to protect our democracy. It is very sad. We don't need to be demanding justice. When the NDC do shot in broad daylight, when there have been videos of individuals who perpetrated this heinous crime, we think that it's a blot on the image of this government, and it's a blot on the image of the security services.
So what would the NDC do if it is elected into power?
We have emphasized, and I think that it's important to re-echo, that crime does not have any expiry date. And no matter how long it takes, the NDC is going to launch a full-scale investigation into these heinous crimes, and those who committed the crimes, the perpetrators who committed this crime, will be brought to book. We are very optimistic about that.
Asante Tumfose II has rejected a section of the Lands Act 2020 that empowers the citizenry to take chiefs to court to account for land sales. The act puts the traditional authority in a fiduciary role over lands and empowers subjects to demand accountability over the use of proceeds from land sale. But Asante at a meeting between the Ashanti region House of Chiefs and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources stated areas under his leadership are exempt in the application of the law. Nana Ojima has more in the following report.
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Ebujinapo, led a team from the ministry to explain the new Lands Act to the Asanteman Traditional Council. This was at the request of the council. One of the principal issues that came up was the power the new act gives to subjects over the sale of lands. Samuel Ebujinapo explains.
To say Nananom and as tools stand to possess a fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty in anything.
The chiefs are caretakers of the lands. They hold it in trust, so their subjects can demand accountability even in court.
Subject court say, oh, Sebio, senior Akonyano, Anase Nana, Afaso Odisha Assassino, Ekutia Marano, Anase on Cheso Kwaya, a dim Faso, Eba, Emma, and mining. So the fiduciary duty of Nanano, as expressed in this act, it's important that we emphasize on that.
However, the Asantehene argues otherwise. According to him, The Asante Kingdom has its own systems of accountability over the sale of land, which they hold in trust for his office. He says any suspicion of mismanagement by the traditional council is reported to his office for appropriate action. Not all that is printed here is applicable to my jurisdiction. I put chiefs and fetish in charge of the lands. The chiefs are not accountable to any youth. The elders of various chiefs are the people who can call for accountability, and that is when I step in. There is accountability in the kingdom, but not to any individual. The Asantehene advocates a review of laws regulating mineral resources in the country for purposes of equity in sharing of benefits. Whoever comes to mine in this country must be checked. There is no mechanism to check gold mined from any jurisdiction. This is something we must pay attention to. For Joy News, Nana Ochima, Kumasi.
Well, legal practitioner Samson Ladi Anyanini has been given further clarity about the fiduciary role traditional authorities now play under the new lands law.
This law that has been made and as has been praised by people like Lawyer Kwame Jan and justices of the court who have also sought to educate us on, including Justice Dennis J. of the Court of Appeal, it started as one of the best for the purposes of ensuring sanity in land administration in this country. Now, the provision in question is actually a re-rendition of the constitutional provision. In Article 36, Clause 8, let me read it. It says, the state shall recognize that ownership and possession of land carry a social obligation, that's the emphasis, carry a social obligation to serve the larger community, and in particular, the state shall recognize that the managers of public stool, scheme, and family lands are fiduciaries charged with the obligation to discharge their functions for the benefit, respectively, of the people of Ghana, of the stool, scheme, or family concerned.
Some members of the Ashanti Regional House of Chiefs are worried over the flouting of the ban on gold prospecting and mining and forest reserves in the country. According to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo says only 3 mining firms have the necessary documentation to mine the forest. He says the ministry is moving in to enforce the ban on mining and forest reserves. Anaya Ojima once more has this report.
According to the chief of Manso, Nana Biekusi Apia, miners continue to destroy the Apamprama and other forest reserves in the Manso enclave. He says, though the Lands and Forestry Commissions in the Bekwai area have been summoned by the traditional authority, their responses remain unsatisfactory. The traditional leader observes the country risks losing these reserves as miners and timber merchants continue to destroy the forests. The Oda and Aprampama forest reserves are now being mined. No chief or district assembly is getting revenue from what is being done there. Aside the mining going on in there, others are harvesting the timber without the requisite licensing. There is already a ban on prospecting and mining in forest reserves. Mr. Jinapo claims he has no idea of illegal activities in the forest reserves.
Prospecting is to go and look out for gold, it's not to mine. Prospecting for 10 years is a terror. And any prospecting that goes beyond 3, 4, 5 years, it is very serious prospecting. That is a mining. And you see, forest reserves and what kind of me as minister on the instructions of President Akufo-Addo, we have banned prospecting, reconnaissance, and exploration in all forest reserves. Which is so about so on the forest reserve prospecting. It's
On the harvesting of timber in the reserves, the minister says the depletion of the forest continues to be a worry to his office. He says the ministry will take appropriate action on the harvest of timber in the reserves.
All the natural resources of our country, the minister grants permits and licenses. But that, respectfully, is an exercise of a discretionary power. The minister is enjoying exercise of discretion. I still don't understand, I can't understand in today's Ghana why a responsible minister of lands and agriculture will continue to grant licenses for the harvesting of wood species in forest reserves in the country. How can you do that? When from 1900 to date, 80% of our country's forest cover is being depleted. 80% of our forest cover is gone. Now, the thing I'm not working. Now, what companies in I'll stop all of it immediately. We have to stop all of it immediately.
Meanwhile, the Asantehene is advocating compensation for communities in forest reserves who are banned from entering the forest for their source of livelihoods. For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima, Kumasi.
The Senate 8th District Chief Executive Kathombe Jeremy Kofi Jima has blamed the inaction of certain state institutions for the consistent poor showing of his district in the district league table. The 2020 document, which was launched in Accra yesterday, put the Senate 8th District at the bottom as the least performing district assembly in terms of education, health, and other social issues. Speaking to Joy News, Mr. Jima said since his assumption of office in October this year, he petitioned the Roads and Education Ministry on the needs of the district, but none of his petitions have been heeded to.
Looking at the teacher people's ratio, Senate is still a deficit of teachers. And so when we look at the way other districts have teachers, we don't have that. The reason being that we are in the deprived area, and so when teachers are posted to our district, they run away without staying there more than 3 or 4 years. As we speak, last year, those who were posted, some of them had requested leaving the district because they have other people to help them leave the district. And for that matter, I want to also use this opportunity to approach to the Well and Sundry that they should convince the education minister. Because I had when I came, because of this, I had 3 discussions with him. I went to his office about 3 times. One was an recruitment of teachers within our jurisdiction. So we realized that when teachers are posted from different districts and they come to our district, they don't stay. Before we realize all of them will leave the district. So we have decided to recruit those who have gone through distance education, those who have gone through Winneba, Cape Coast, and Jackson around our place. And we submitted a list. So I did a follow-up again. And I had a nice discussion with the Minister of Education, Honorable Adichim. And I want to use this opportunity to plead on your behalf, use your institution to talk to the minister so that the list that we have given to him, we will consider them. And then I think that when the list is considered, it should help the district because we have, when we get to Census, we are surrounded by the Sene River and then the Akosomo River. So we are in U-shape of the district. So when people come to our district, it's difficult for them to say because you have to always cross the river.
Okay.
And then our roads are also deplorable. And for that matter, I have sent a request to the Minister of Roads and Transport for them to gravel our feeder roads. Because when
so when did you send this request?
I sent it as soon as I came to office.
Okay. And have you had any response from them?
And I did a follow-up last week.
Okay.
If you ask Deputy Minister, Honorable General, he mentioned it to you. I did a follow-up. And then there was a contractor who was also working on the Pemuase Tojikofe road. And this contractor had left the place since then. He just started some few areas and he left.
Social policy specialist with UNICEF, Charles Jadosi, has been throwing more light on the report and its outcome. He spoke to Inimwa Inimado on the AM show.
We're going to speak to Charles Jadosi. He's a social policy specialist with UNICEF, and he's going to bring a few more issues to light for us. So good morning, Charles.
Good morning.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you too.
So do you want to just take us through, exactly what this this competition, as it were, sought out to achieve?
Okay, well, thanks very much for the opportunity. The district league table, the name may sound like it is a competition, but then it is actually a tool that is enabling us to see how our districts, the citizens in the district level are doing on a league table. So you have those who are enjoying services much more than others who are at the top, and those who are not enjoying the services or being reached by services, or their well-being is low at the bottom. So for every sector, we have that table, and then the overall, you can tell the difference between those who are enjoying a better well-being and then those who are not enjoying the kind of well-being that the others are enjoying. So that's why it is called a league table. It's not necessarily a competition.
Education Minister Dr. Else Duchum is optimistic that government's national standardized test for primary students will help teachers boost their skills to improve students' performance. According to him, reports will be generated after the test, which will identify the challenges facing the education system across the country in some core subjects. Thousands of primary 4 students across the country on Friday wrote the test. Dr. Duchum, who visited some schools in Accra to assess the exercise, said the maiden edition of the test will help to evaluate learning outcomes in English and mathematics at the primary school level.
In this country, the first time at the national level, we'll get to know about student performances after 11 years of education, which is 2 years of KG, 6 years of primary, 3 years of junior high school. That is when the nation gets to know whether the students are doing well or not. In other places where education is thriving and doing very well, you always want to assess the students early on. So this year, we are assessing primary 4 students. The goal is to find out how well they are doing in English and mathematics. And then we have primary 5 to do intervention for those who are not doing well. And then primary 6 will test them again to see whether they are doing well or not. So this is an initiative that is supposed to help Ghana achieve academically and at the same time ensure that we are giving the opportunity for intervention. So this data that is going to come out of these exams is going to be used by GES to plan professional development, or what is called INSET, for teachers to improve their skills.
He also announced government's readiness to dialogue with private schools who express interest in participating in the tests next year.
This is the first one. Next year we are going to dialogue with private schools. So far they are interested, we didn't want to impose it on them. So far they are interested, they will be part of the exams.
We take a break. On Joy News Prime, we'll bring you the rest of business. But before that, the Civil and Local Government Staff Association Ghana has called on government to deal with civil servants who abused their power entrusted to them. The association says government has for some time now been discriminatory at best in dealing with political appointees who allegedly interferes in the day-to-day activities of the civil service. The association earlier called on the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, to sever ties with the Western North Regional Minister for allegedly posting personnel without going through due process. At the Clocksack Thanksgiving service, the Executive Secretary Isaac Bampoado called on government to take steps to eradicate the abuse of power.
The association finds the blatant disregard to sanction political appointees who interfere in the day-to-day activities of the civil service and the local government service highly appalling. Why should staff of local government service and the civil service who show overtly their political orientation be made to resign or their appointments terminated, while political appointees who openly interfere in the affairs of the service receive no sanctions? If this is not discrimination, then what else can we define discrimination? Clocksack demands that the government shows impartiality in dealing with issues affecting delivery of service within both the civil and local government services as regards neutrality and political interference. Indeed, political interference is an example of abuse of power that should be penalized. The government is enjoined to take steps to eradicate abuse of power and promote political tolerance.
You're welcome to Business. Ambassador of Spain to Ghana has expressed optimism of growth in trade and investment for the country, of course, come next year. According to him, the country is much more poised when it comes to thriving business environment, which gives it a comparative advantage to attract more investors post-COVID-19.
Ghana ranks as the 12th country which exports to Spain. This is as a result of the good bilateral trade relation between the two countries. The advent of COVID-19 has impacted international trade relations, and the country is no exception. However, Ambassador of Spain to Ghana, Javier Gutierrez, is hopeful that trade will pick up next year.
It's been a very intense year. I arrived at the end of August, and I have seen that the Ghanaian people are lovely, and I really look forward to 2022 and to be able to even work closer with the Ghanaian authorities and civil society. We feel that Ghana is a country that is booming, it's a stable country, it's a democratic country, peaceful, and a hub in the region. We also see that post-COVID recovery offers a unique opportunity for Ghana to attract investments and to be a strong actor in the global supply chains, and we look forward to increasing our investments in Ghana.
The Maiden Flamingo Show was organized by West Africa and Gulf Company. According to its managing director, Alex Oman, this is to strengthen ties with Spain and promote investments in Ghana.
We are the oldest Spanish company here. We have, the beginning was a bit difficult, but with the political environment that we have and also the gains that we are making in areas of economy, I think business is, going on well with us, and then we are also trying our best to increase our investment in other areas, and also through the Spain-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, we are also calling for other investors who are in Spain who haven't heard about, the gains Ghana has chalked. We will continue to sell Ghana outside for other investors to know what is happening in Ghana. I think this event that we are witnessing here today, I'm sure it will also speak for itself.
Meanwhile, President of the Spain-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, Nadim Ganem Perez, indicated that the pandemic has affected their operations, but is hopeful 2022 will be better.
Out of the 3 years that we've been set up since, we've been for 2 of the years have been COVID-based, and what we have done is adjusted to that. So instead of bringing Spanish companies here, what we used to do is online calls and online video calls that would allow the communication between them. So we used to facilitate all this. Of course, it's not the same like coming into the country and seeing, but we try to manage and accommodate to that.
Now, players in the creative art industry have been urged to build capacity to attract investment. Now, according to the CEO of TKC Africa, Hannah Akwa, the Ghanaian entertainment industry is fragmented and does not look attractive to investors. Speaking at the Creative Arts Access to Finance Town Hall meeting, she advised startups in the industry to start accessing grants.
The Creative Arts Agency, in collaboration with the Global Entrepreneurship Network, held the Creative Arts Access to Finance Town Hall to discuss financing in the entertainment industry and explore possible ways of addressing them. Speaking at the meeting, investment consultant Hannah Akwa admonished players to build capacity.
My financiers are in Europe. However, my client, who I was talking to, is South African. And they're quite established in South Africa when it comes to the creative industry. They've got that kind of Tyler Perry, Hollywood kind of setting when it comes to film and whatnot. And I learned so much by engaging with him. But he is looking to help other nations. And the first nation he mentioned is Nigeria. Why? Because, you know, they are quite well advanced. But even though Nigeria is quite well advanced, it's still a bit fragmented. You know, you can have a huge market in the Igbo territory, then you can have a huge market in the north or in, you know, the Lagosians. Whilst here in Ghana, when I try to push Ghana, because I am Ghanaian and I wanted to make sure he comes to Ghana as well, I'm not stopping him for his investment, by the way, just wanted to make sure he comes to Ghana. He's like, we are very, very fragmented. You know, it's like we just don't have some kind of covering.
The organizers of the Creative Arts Town Hall explained that discourses like these are part of an agenda to break barriers in the industry.
Our first town hall was a couple of weeks ago when we were discussing that entrepreneurial artist. Today, it's a natural ripple effect of finance. It can be quite daunting for artists to be able to know how to invest in themselves, how to garner finance, how to attract investment. And what we're doing here today is being able to kind of break down those walls and break down those conversations so that artists are able to connect a little bit more, to know how to invest. I don't think objectives and aims can ever be actually met. I feel that it's always ongoing conversations. It's not something that is closed, it's always an open-ended thing. Well, with the festive season, let's always be calm. This is the time that we always actually look towards our creatives for entertainment. And so we always seem to forget them that when the festive season has finished. So let's celebrate our artists all year round.
We've already been working with the Creative Arts Agency as part of our program to help advance the creative arts sector within Ghana. And it's a series of initiatives we've done. Last month during Global Entrepreneurship Week, we co-hosted a town hall on creative arts entrepreneurship. And this time around, we are doing something around access to finance, how best we can bridge the gap between capital and the creative arts sector.
Meanwhile, ace actress and board member of the National Film Authority, Akofa Ejeni, lauded the concept and revealed that her outfit is collating the necessary data to facilitate the full realization of improving the creative arts industry.
We've been talking about this data thing for a while, but it's in the pipeline. We do have data at the individual associations and guild levels. So what the NFA is doing is trying to collate all of it so that we have one big national data. I think that when that is done, it will help speed up things as well, because everywhere you go, they want to know the data, they want to know how much comes in, and it will make it easier for investors to be comfortable to invest. Also, what we need to do more is to engage corporate bodies, because a lot of people don't understand film, and people are not comfortable putting their monies into things that they don't understand.
Well, Christmas is around the corner, but some traders in the central business district of Accra have bemoaned the slow pace in which consumers are purchasing their goods. They attribute the situation to the low money in the system and expecting a reopening of senior high schools come January next year. Well, of course, Joy Business has been engaging them, and here's a report by Beverly Brom.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge.
Christmas is a celebration to mark the birth of Jesus Christ. During this period, traders cash in massively from the purchase of items such as clothes and food from consumers who celebrate the special period with their friends and family. However, the narrative was different when Joy Business visited the Makola market, as some traders complained over the tardy nature of sales and unusual increments in prices of some goods. cedis.
Price of poultry is expensive these days in the villages. It was previously 22 cedis, but now 28 and 30 cedis.
28, not 30.
For this Christmas is very, very bad. Even when it was last year, people come order things, cutting, but this time around, nothing is going on.
From November to this time, the market is hard for us. When they pay the workers, they come to buy things for us. But from November to this time, nothing is going on.
Some fashion designers we encountered during our visit also shared their thoughts on how the high cost of prices has affected their business. They therefore advise patrons not to wait till the last days before rushing in to get their Christmas attire designed for them.
It's bad this year, I won't lie. I mean, we bought fabrics for 12 cedis, and then we've come this year and they've shot up to 20 cedis. You have to explain to customers how much they have to add up now, and then it's almost becoming like a problem because people always want to sew on budgets. Those people who want their clothes done before Christmas have already submitted theirs, and we are working on them, so we'll finish for them because we always want to avoid the narrative of designers are liars, tailors are liars, but if you want to sit down until a week or 3 days before Christmas and you bring fabrics for us to sew for you, I mean, come on, let's be fair, we are not magicians.
But in a rather different account, Madam Akosia believes the story from her fellow traders will be no different in the subsequent years, as every year, traders describe the previous year as better than the current one.
It is not true that sales is not good. Customers have become more discerning nowadays and do not want to overspend on things that are not needed immediately. It's all about choices. People are changing in terms of consumption.
Auntie Kai, who trades in Christmas accessories regardless of the hardship, decided to sing us a Christmas carol.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
For Joy Business, Beverly Broom reporting.
So there you have it, Aisha. Christmas mood, disjointed.
Already activated. But what colors come to mind when we talk of Christmas?
Well, let me think. I think red, green, and a tinge of gold,
Yes, but this year I'm told they've introduced some new colors to it. Well, We'll see about it because over the years, red and green have been associated with Christmas. We've been speaking to some celebrants on the streets of Accra to find out what they make of these colors. Our reporter Tasha Michael has the rest of the report. Right to you.
Christmas means different things for different people. The season invokes love to give and love to receive. Gifts change hands in hampers and boxes, wrapped mostly in bright red and green colors, screaming to be noticed. From Christmas trees to ornamental pearls, these colors can barely be missed. But do they actually get noticed?
We have seen that then as kids. Even the Father Christmas itself is putting on red and white. So that kind of, let's say, mental intel has already been put on us. So we really don't have any reason for that. But it's based on what they project out there. So then we do the same thing in here. So there is no big explanation for that.
I don't have idea about those things. So it depends the way you want the place to be. So that's why maybe me like this, I want orange. I will use orange. Somebody will like green. She will leave green and some things to do it, and it will be nice.
One by one, almost everyone we spoke to had close to no idea what these colors mean when they come wrapped all over the gifts. But the symbolic red and green Christmas colors mean more than just their names. CEO of Think Mahogany Events, Deborah J. Nelson, explains.
white, green, and red. These are the traditional Christmas colors that we all know about. So for several years, red and green are associated with Christmas. Now, let me take it from the religious perspective, the Christian perspective. Green represents the everlasting life of Christ. Red represents the blood he shed on the cross when he was crucified, the day he died on earth. That is why we have red and green as Christmas colors, and this has been going on for traditions. You would find that we add gold, we add white, and we add blue. Gold represents the presence of the three wise men presented to Jesus Christ when he was born. Blue represents the robe that Mother Mary wore, which represents wealth. And white represents purity, the purity of Jesus Christ. In Ghana, a lot of brides would come, oh, I want hot pink, I want fuchsia. That is magenta. History outside of the Christ part of Christmas. So why red and green? Let me take you back to 1930. Why green and red for Christmas? I'm not trying to advertise for Coca-Cola here, but it is because of Coca-Cola, unfortunately. Americans associated Christmas red and green to Coca-Cola because in 1930, a very famous illustrator, cartoonist, came up with an ad which they showed from 1930 through to 1964. That's 34 years of advertising. That's almost 3.5 decades of an advert. Wow. That's like half, in fact, that's almost my age of an advert. So it has so much impact on that 3 generations, I would say. So this cartoonist came up with an advert when Coca-Cola approached him to come up with a Santa Claus advert for Coca-Cola. He drew Santa Claus wearing the Coca-Cola red, Admis green, drinking Coca-Cola and sharing gifts to children. And that stayed in the minds of Americans for 34 years. You find that we use stars in Christmas decor. Star represent the new star in Bethlehem. And then we also use doves in Christmas decor. Door represent the peace that comes with Jesus Christ. Now let me add one thing. I said I'll talk about 4. Let me add the 5th one. Lights. What do lights represent during Christmas? It's not about the glam. Lights represent the light that comes with Jesus Christ. That is why we have lights during Christmas.
There are more colors, and each means something different. Deborah Jane Nelson again.
But recently we've added different colors, especially white, gold, silver, purple, and this year in particular, the Christmas colors are magenta and blue are the colors. Now, what you'd find is that every year Christmas, there's a hint of different color. Brown is actually a tone that is added to every Christmas decor. Brown and bronze. Especially in the Western world, you'd find that they add snowflakes as well, and silver for the glitz. So this year, blue and magenta is a color. Blue for the cooling, and blue from Mother Mary as well. Magenta because magenta is one of this year's colors.
So yes, they may have become conventional colors that go with the season, but inherent in them are the secret visual triggers for Christmas. Tasha Michelle's reports for Joy News.
Yes, so blue and magenta, they are the new colors for this year. We'll take a break. We'll bring you the very latest from the world of sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the second part of the sports segment here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oriku Wampofu. The Ghana Football Association has suspended its planned Super League competition indefinitely following a meeting with Division 1D clubs on Friday. We have more for you in the following Joy Sports report.
A committee will be set up to review the current structure of the Super League within 14 days. The Super League, which is to be competed for by 18 clubs, was scheduled to commence effective 2022-2023 football season. JFA General Secretary Prosper Harrison Addo told Joy Sports in November the competition was to be managed by the association, as the Premier League would be managed by a different company. The structure is such that
still on Ghana football, but this time focusing on the Ghana Premier League. Let's take a look at some statistics, especially after we crossed the first quarter of the Ghana Premier League season. And in terms of matches played, we've seen 69 matches so far with 142 goals scored so far, an average of about 2.06 per game. We've seen 49 wins, 20 draws, 36 home wins, whilst we've had 13 away wins. We've seen over half a century of clean sheets so far in the Ghana Premier League. And finally, the male and female national rugby teams have presented the trophies they won at the just-ended Rugby Africa 7 Pre-World World Cup qualifiers to one of their main sponsors, Interplus Ghana Limited. Asari Bediako was there for Joy Sports.
Ghana stole the show at the Rugby Sevens Pre-World Cup qualifiers, which came off in Kumasi on November 28. The male and female national rugby teams emerged champions of West Africa. Ghana battled Niger, Togo, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast and Benin to win the coveted title. On Thursday, December 16, the team presented the trophies to one of their main sponsors, Interplus. Here is Managing Director Hissam Fakri.
Make yourselves proud first and then make Ghana proud second. Rugby is not a very common or famous sport in Ghana, but worldwide people really appreciate it. And I think with you guys, it's the beginning of it. Hopefully the next generation will take it even further and continue to make yourselves happy and proud. And this is first and foremost. And then make Ghana proud as well, because we love Ghana too much. You're all most welcome. I congratulate you on what you guys did, the boys and the ladies as well. And I hope we continue to do that. And hopefully I'll see you again here in this conference room soon.
President of the Ghana Rugby Football Union, Herbert Mensah, is grateful to Hissam Fakri and Interplus Ghana Limited for their unflinching support.
I can't say more great things about Lyson. You hear me say it all the time, and I think all of you understand how special and how great this man is. And even for him to leave his office, to come down here to spend a couple of minutes with you guys, you need to look at it, respect it, understand it, and as you drove in, you saw what a great place it is. Standards. We talk about standards all the time. You're not amazed every time you come in, the way the factory looks, the way the lawns look. Everything about ISM is what we aspire to try and be. So, people, I just want to, again, reintroduce you to ISM and just say a big thank you for a very, very, very special person.
Both the male and female rugby national teams are through to the final stage of next year's Rugby Sevens World Cup qualifiers.
Well, that's the note on which we'll be wrapping up sports here. My name is Rick Wampofo. Do have a fantastic weekend. Back to you, Aisha.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin tonight. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our program.